Hello, and welcome to an overview of this spreadsheet template price and profit calculator for digital products. I've put more than 40 hours of work into developing this tool, and it's something that I use to help price and track all of my own products that I sell. This template is for sale at our Etsy shop, Eagle and Pelican. If you've already purchased it, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. If you haven't, there are links in the chat if you want to check it out after the video. Even if you're not interested in the template, I think this video will teach you a lot about how to think about pricing for digital products and understanding their true cost. If there's another template you'd like to see me create, go ahead and leave a comment in the chat. You can also leave any other questions you have about the template there. In this tutorial, we're going to pretend that we're creating a printable template for an Airbnb welcome book. The template is broken up into 7 parts. First, the setup, then product concepts and ideas, then understanding costs, determining pricing, ads and marketing, pre-launch checklist, and finally the launch and evaluation. We're going to be looking at the Google Sheets version of the template, but there's an Excel version available as well. Before we begin, a quick note on Eagle and Pelican spreadsheets. These are all going to be color-coded, and if there's a background color like the green or the blue here, it means that it's not supposed to be edited. So if you try to go ahead and edit it, it's going to pop up with a warning and say, this is not meant to be changed. So you should go ahead and hit cancel there. If for some reason you do want to make changes, just know that it might break the spreadsheet and I won't be able to help you fix it. Exceptions to this are changing fonts, sizes, formatting for decimal places. Any formatting changes should have no effect on the spreadsheet. All right, so let's get started. So quickly for the setup page, there's going to be one question here about Etsy or offsite ads. And if you use those, you'll put a percentage here for how many orders you think will be sold through those ads. It's usually a pretty low percentage, maybe 5 or 10%, but you can put whatever you think you need there. If you want to play it safe, put a higher number. Next, we'll choose which sales channels we're going to use to sell this product. In our example here, we will sell through a Shopify website and an Etsy store. Next, enter the percentage of sales you think will be sold on each channel. In this case, I think we're going to sell 10% of our sales on Shopify and make 90% of our sales on Etsy. These fields will come pre-filled with certain fees, but make sure to review those and make sure they reflect the fees that you actually pay. For example, if you're a larger store on Etsy, you may only pay 12% for offsite ads instead of 15%. If you'd like to add any channels, go ahead and change the name or edit any of the names here to fit your needs. All of the fees here will get weighted and averaged down here in this section. And then these are the fees that will be used throughout the rest of the spreadsheet. Next, we're going to go to the product concept and development page. This is a space for you to brainstorm and think about the kind of product you want to make. The spreadsheet template is sold with 2 pre-formatted printable PDFs as well, both for step 1 and step 5. So if you prefer to brainstorm by hand, you can go ahead and print those out. The process of product creation is both art and science. It's a recursive process, where usually you take a big picture look at what you're thinking and what the product design is going to be. Then drill down into some of the details, maybe how you're going to make it, what the costs are going to be, technical details, and then zoom back out and see if that aligns with your original vision. Rinse and repeat from there. Sometimes products can be created in an afternoon, and sometimes they take a year or more to really fully flesh out. So don't be afraid to let things stew and sit. Next, your competitor products. These are part of your research that you'll do when making your product, and whatever prices you put here, so option A, option B, if you enter prices here for what your competition products sell for, they'll be available for reference as an average later on when you do your pricing. Next, we have step 2 is understanding our product costs. Understanding product costs for digital products is a bit different than physical products. This is the reason I've created a separate digital product spreadsheet template. There's a separate one for physical products. For digital products, usually the cost of the digital product is all in the product design and development. Reproduction of digital products is virtually free. While there are some exceptions to this spreadsheet template is designed for products that don't have those ongoing costs. If your product does, you can go ahead and include them down in the monthly expenses. Instead of during product development, it'll just be during the whole time. And it should work basically the same. So the first thing we're going to need to decide is what's our product's useful life? This is a bit of a tricky concept because digital product could last forever. However, we also need to take into account that technology and trends change and often make digital products obsolete. Useful life for digital products is usually somewhere between 2 and 5 years, but you can put what you think makes sense in your context. For our example, I'm going to put 36 months. All right, next is the development time. This is how long it took you to develop the product. This is used to allocate indirect and any other timed expenses. So this cost here, we'll come back to this later. This is designed so that you can't see the total cost until you click this button. The reason for that is it's easy to bring unconscious bias to the process, and you really want to make sure that you're including all your costs and don't get sticker shock when you look at this number. So next is product development labor costs. Usually for digital products, this is going to be your biggest expense. I'm going to enter some costs for our Airbnb welcome book, and then we'll talk about them. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is do the name of the wage and then how much that cost per hour is. For wages for yourself, this can be a little tricky because, this money isn't real. Your real earnings are going to be from selling the product. However, I think it's important to assign a value to your own work to really understand the cost of your products and what it means to scale up your business. Don't forget that this is your gross cost, how much you would pay to pay someone else, not your take-home profit after taxes. The next thing we're going to do is R&D hours. So this is how many hours you spent developing different features that can be used in multiple products. If your work was only applicable to the single product, it would go in a production hour. So in this case, I'm going to make a very similar product with the same template, and that template took me 5 hours to make. So because it's going to be used in 2 different products, I put 50% there. Next, 15 hours is the total production time it took to take any work I had done in R&D and turn it into a finished product. Next, I assigned some more R&D hours to another feature of this product that I'm using across a wider spectrum of products. Something maybe like a logo or other graphics, for example. So this has a much lower percentage R&D allocation. Last, I paid someone for a little graphic editing help that is only going to be on this product, and so that cost me $70. This kind of thing here for contract work could also be added into the next section, which is direct expenses. These are expenses that are specifically for development of this product and not general overhead or indirect expenses, which we'll address next. An example of a direct expense might be purchasing a graphic template or some asset to use in your product. In this case, I bought a custom border image for $10 that I don't plan on using in other products. I left a lot of space here for you to add direct expenses. You see there's 3 different columns, and then those will all total up down here. Next is indirect expenses. Indirect expenses, otherwise known as overhead, are costs you can't directly attribute to this specific product, but that you couldn't make the product without. So for an example, I might have a Canva subscription, $10 a month, but I developed 3 products during the month that I made this product. So I'm allocating 33% of that cost to this particular product. Another thing I might have is Adobe Suite for making a tutorial video or doing other editing. And that is also used across several different products. So I'm going to allocate 25% to this product. And then next you have one-time or capital expenses. This might be the cost of your computer, and you'll allocate it across a much larger span of time. And the percentage here can sometimes be hard to estimate, but you can go ahead and make your best guess there. The idea of this is that if you're running your business for a long time, you want to be making money as part of selling this product to pay for the next computer in 4 years. So now that you've entered all your costs, you can come back to the top here and click the magic button, and then I'll show the total cost of production. This total cost of production is then divided by your total useful life into a monthly cost. And we're going to use this to calculate our break-even sales and other margins on the next step, pricing. When it comes to pricing your product, you'll start off by putting in a target list price. This is the price before any discounts you might end up running. Sometimes it can be hard to know where to start. I recommend entering a number. I'm going to put $10 as that's the average competitor price. But you'll probably want to come back and reevaluate this number after you've gotten a little further. Again, just like other parts of product production and creation, it's a recursive process. Next, we'll enter our lifetime profit goal. This is how much we want to make from our product after all of our costs, including our own labor as the owner, if that's included in your cost. So even if this is a pretty low number, if you're paying yourself to make your product and you hit it, you'll still be doing pretty well. I'm going to put $1,000 for our example. Next, we'll put a product launch date and an evaluation date. It's a date to help you measure your progress. It's also important because sometimes it takes a while for products to get going and it's easy to get discouraged. I recommend setting the evaluation date at least 3 or 6 months in advance. That way, if the product doesn't do very well the first month, you don't just give up. You have to wait till the evaluation date to really decide how your product is performing. It doesn't mean you won't make changes to how you're marketing or anything during that time, but like any good experiment, you want to set your parameters ahead of time. So in our case, we're going to put the end of September. This is going to round to about 5 months of time. This is how many sales we'll need, rounded up, to generate enough profit after fees to pay for our monthly cost. Next, just because digital products are virtually free to reproduce doesn't mean there aren't cost of sales involved. We'll get to marketing in a little bit, but if you think you will have any ongoing customer service or maintenance costs, enter them here. For example, I want to set aside some money for customer service. As the owner, I'll be handling that myself, and I want to make sure that I'm pricing my product high enough to pay for my time dealing with anything that comes up. Next, you can enter up to 3 different scenarios and see under those conditions what your profit will be and how long it'll take you to reach your lifetime profit goal. In this case, 4 is the break even, so I'll put 10 here, and let's put 15 and 20. Orders per month. This is not as important when you only have 1 or 2 products, but let's suppose that we have another digital product already and we want to buy 2, get 1 half off kind of discount. So in this scenario, I'm not going to offer that. So we're going to do 10 orders and 0 discount. In this one, I think that some sales will be through a promotion like that. So I'm going to say only 10 orders and we'll put a 25% discount. And last, I'll see what it would be if we just do a small discount. You can see here that under various scenarios, it'll take just over 2 years or about 1.5 years, depending on the scenario, to reach our lifetime goal. It'll also tell us how much money we'll make monthly and then during the evaluation period. Last, there's a reference table down here, and this will show you how much you're going to be paying approximately in fees, depending on how many items you're selling per order and the method of sale. This is for your reference only. These numbers are already integrated into all of the other things you're seeing. I just know a lot of people are curious about how much fees are cutting into their profits. Next, step 4, ads and marketing. This is a tool to help evaluate the cost benefit of your marketing. It's divided into several sections: cost per click advertising, cost per milli advertising, that's like banner ads or YouTube ads, video ads, where the cost is based on how many people see it and not click on it. Then flat fee advertising and marketing materials for in the world advertising, and any affiliate marketing you might do. You can use one or all 4 of these sections. It doesn't matter. They all work independently. These aren't the only kind of marketing or promotion you might do for your product. Things like earned media, like going on a podcast or somehow getting an article written about your product, writing your own blog posts, or using a mailing list are all great ways to get sales. Each type of marketing and advertising has its own direct expenses and opportunity costs. Not all of those are included here. And if that's something you're interested in, leave a comment below. For now, let's see how this works for these types of advertising and marketing. So for cost per click advertising, I'm going to first put how many orders do I want to make via cost per click. So if we go back to our pricing, you can see 3 different scenarios we picked. This budget should match this evaluation period. Let's put scenario 2 for the purposes of this example. We're going to go with scenario 2. So that's 75. I'm going to hope that my cost per click ads get me 20 sales. Next, how many clicks do we think it'll take to get those 20 sales? This can be hard to estimate, and it's going to depend a lot from person to person and business to business. For the purposes of this example, we'll put 500, which will translate into 4% conversion rate. And then how much do we want to spend to get those 500 clicks? I'm going to put $250, so expecting a 50-cent average per click. If in your experience you're used to paying a lot less or a lot more, you might want to adjust your budget up and down. Another common way that people create budgets is by thinking about how much they want to spend per day. So if we have about 4 months of time and we want to spend about $1 a day, or let's say $3 a day, you can always type equations in here to do your math for you and come up with a budget that way. Next, cost per million. It's the same idea. How many orders, how much spend, how many impressions do we want to hopefully pay for, and how many clicks do we want to come out of that. Again, I'll just type some numbers in here for an example. I don't know. I've never done CPM advertising. I don't know what is to be expected. Note the unit here is in M's, so this is 5,000 impressions, and I'm hoping to get maybe 50 clicks. Small, low click rate, a high conversion rate is what this implies. Last, flat fee. I'm not going to do any flat fee advertising, but I will invest in some physical marketing materials. And for affiliate marketing, we'll say that we expect to pay 15% commission on hopefully maybe just selling 5 units. And that would translate into 50 times 15%, 750 in commissions. Next step is the pre-launch checklist. Like step 1, the product concept, there's a pre-formatted PDF that comes with the template product for you to download and do by hand if you prefer. I've entered some questions here to help you brainstorm. Even if these questions don't apply to you, hopefully they'll help you brainstorm and anticipate issues you might run into when you launch your product. So things like how I tested my product with other people, even if that's just friends and family. It's not always wise to rush a product to market without testing. Creating a product can be really complicated, and spreadsheets help you make sure you remember everything and don't forget all the little steps along the way. There's plenty of space here to add your own items as well. And the last step is our launch and evaluation. So the first thing we're going to do is select a final list price and discount average. So if we go back to our pricing, we were going to go scenario 2. And so that price is $10 and 25% average discount. You can put whatever you want here. We'll come back in a second to this actual data date. So the first thing we want to do is decide what our goal is for the evaluation period. So the first thing we're going to enter here is the number of units we want to sell. So during our evaluation period, I think we're targeting 75 here, but you can always put a higher number if you want to make your goal higher. And I was expecting to have 50 orders. You'll notice the 50 orders here also will impact the number of fees. If you have more orders, fees go up a little bit because some fees are per order instead of per item. This will also now calculate what your margin will be before advertising. So that is taking into account that monthly cost as well as all your fees that you're going to have. The cost of goods sold here will include both the monthly costs from the product development, but also your estimate from your ongoing maintenance and customer service. That'll give you an estimated gross profit margin. Then it'll take your marketing and expenses into account. In this case, you can see that, wow, we blew through all of our profit and then some in our marketing. So in this case, you can see that and say, wow, I need to go spend less on marketing, or I need to hope and increase my marketing goal. So in this case, I think I'm going to come back and I'm going to cut that. We'll cut both of these types of marketing. And then I think I'm going to just have to increase my goal and hope this does better than I think. Another option at this point would be to raise our price. This is still a pretty low profit margin after all things are considered. So you can adjust your price accordingly if you'd like. And now we're, at this point, we're pretty much done. We're going to go ahead and launch our product. And then maybe after the first month, we'll come back and we can enter our actual data as of, let's say we launched our product on May 10th. Let's go ahead and come back in early July and enter all of our data through the end of June. So if we were going to do that, we would come back and we would say the data is through June 30th. You'll see now the dashboard shows how far along it expects you to be in the total number of units sold by that point within your evaluation period. And we can come down and say, oh, wow, we're doing really well. We're at 50 sales, and that was across 42 orders. And our product revenue was $490. So you'll see here now that this shows that we're a bit ahead of our goal on product units sold. You can also take a look at product revenue, gross profit, and net profit. Net profit we are also doing fairly well on. And that's only because we haven't added our actual advertising costs yet. So we'll have to make sure we come back and do that. So far from our ad campaign, we have 6 orders, came from 129 clicks, and total spend so far has been $125. So these percentages here are relative to your budget. So this is saying that you have quite a bit of budget left to spend, and you can evaluate how well you're performing. You can see here our cost per click is quite a bit higher than we were hoping. And maybe that means we should start spending a bit less money or change our advertising campaign, maybe bid less aggressively. And then down here, we have actually had no sales through affiliates. It's not really working out, but we also haven't paid any money. So that's how we're doing so far. And maybe this will mean, if these are our numbers, it means we have to go try to maybe find some people, some more affiliates to promote our product. And now you'll see here that profit is because we've spent all that money in advertising, we're actually a bit behind trend on net income, which is fairly typical early on in a product's time. You have to pay all those upfront costs before you reap the reward. The percentages here will show how well you're doing on trend. So it's based on the actual per day amount, not relative to the goal like the advertising was. So you can see here that we are doing pretty well relative to our goals. There's some more statistics here, how well we're doing relative on our margins, how well we're doing in advertising, what the average sale price per unit is, etc. And yeah, you can keep coming back and filling it out however often you want. I always recommend making sure you come back at the end of your evaluation period and really spending some time entering numbers there, but you can come back after that's over, before, whenever, and just go ahead and update your data here. So if you come back in a month at the end of July and update your data, then you can see everything else will update. If you want to use the spreadsheet to create a new product, I recommend creating a copy. Keep this one as is. You go to File, make a copy, and then delete everything else that you've entered here or write over it. If you have a lot of products that have similar development labor costs or usually indirect, all your products are probably going to share indirect costs, keep those between copies, and that way you don't have to type them each time. One last tip is on any of my spreadsheets, never cut and paste. So if you cut here, use this option or Control Z and move down, things are going to get messed up. The reference cells will all break, but copying and pasting is fine. That won't break anything. Just make sure you are ready to hit the undo button up here or Control Z if you cut and paste anything by mistake. All right, thanks for joining me for that tutorial. If you learned something new from this video, go ahead and leave a comment to let me know. If you're interested in learning when more spreadsheet templates come out, hit subscribe or go ahead and follow my store on Etsy. Again, the name is Eagle and Pelican. Thanks so much.